everybody. Dan Illman and Mike Beer taking a look at the DRF race of the day for Friday, October the 18th. It's race number 9 at Belmont at the Big A, one of 2 stakes races scheduled on turf. This is the Carle Place going 3/4 of a mile for 3-year-olds. Before we take a look at the field, remember the DRFTV viewers have a great opportunity. 10% off all past performances. Shop now, access the QR code on your screen, and use the coupon code DRFTV10. Here's the field for the Friday race of the day, the Carle Place. Remember to access your free formulator past performances for this race on the race of the day event page at DRF.com. Field of 9 in here, Mike. Couple of horses trying turf for the first time. The number 1, Little Nye. This horse made Bookham Dano, one of the better 3-year-old dirt sprinters in the country, work 2 starts back in the Jersey Shore. How's he going to handle turf?
Yeah, that's the main question here. A little bit of turf pedigree there on the bottom side. Anyway, Dan, he's a talented horse. Whether he brings his real good race to turf is a pretty major question in this race, Dan, because he's really talented and he's really fast.
Taking a big drop out of the Grade 1 H-Allen Jerkins, where it certainly didn't work out for him against some Breeders' Cup bound runners. But as Mike mentioned, he is quick. Let's take a look at the Timeform US pace projector, and Little Nye not on the lead according to Timeform US. That's reserved for Barksdale, a horse that's shown speed on dirt, on turf, going short, going long. But I have a feeling Little Nye's going.
I kind of looked at it the same way. I mean, these 2 horses do have, I guess, something in common anyway, that they're both, effective dirt sprinters. And when they sprint on the dirt, they like to be on the lead. I guess we'll just see which one's faster. I kind of thought it could be the one, but again, it's all about how he handles the turf course.
Well, let's start things off with him. He's by Moyon. I'm not a big fan of the Mohaymans on turf, only 4% with first-time turf winners. The Dams fold 1 grass runner, and as Mike mentioned, there's a little bit of turf on the bottom of this pedigree. This horse won his first 3 starts in the Mid-Atlantic, at Delaware at Monmouth, gave Bookham Dano all he could handle in the Jersey Shaw. Then they ran him in the Jerkins, and it didn't work out. What do you make of this move to turf?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't thrill me, Dan. I don't tend to love horses like this anyway. And he just didn't really have, enough turf pedigree to where it's like when I'm watching his earlier races going, boy, I wonder when they're going to switch this horse to turf. It didn't seem like that was ever in the offing, just talking about his pedigree a little bit there. I mean, the second dam is a sister to Atoned. How does that make you feel, Dan? He won the Pegasus World Cup turf a couple of years ago. I mean, I guess there's some turf in there. I don't want to bet him in this race.
He certainly did, but he's like 1 for 23 since then. He's a very nice horse, Atoned. He usually is there or thereabouts. The 2 is Works for Me, going on for Joseph Lee, who's having just a tremendous year with the likes of Mayday Ready, heading to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf, a horse that's 3 for 3 in her career. And Works for Me was just a little belated last time out in the Mahoney, going 5.5 at Saratoga. Fell far behind, came widest into the stretch. There was a little bit of a late kick that day. I don't think he has to be that far off the pace. I guess if the pace is hot, he could be outrun, but going 6, I could see him a little bit closer.
Yeah, me too. I mean, actually, the most surprising thing about that Mahoney, maybe, and listen, he was a big price in there anyway, but he was a little bit further back than you even expect him to be, even against that field. I still thought he ran really, really well in that race, Dan. I mean, he had way too much to do when Pratt swung him wide at the top of the stretch. He ran in that race. I thought that was a good performance. I realized that he's a maiden on the grass in here. He's a good dirt horse, to be sure. I think he's good on turf, too. I like all of his turf sprint starts. This horse is very interesting in this race, and Pratt sticks with him.
Another horse trying turf for the first time is the 3, One Sharp Cookie. He's by Sharp as Tecta, only a 3% first-time turf sire. The dam was 0 for 1 on the grass. I just don't see a lot of turf in this pedigree. This horse did win a couple of races on wet dirt and then was just thrown to the wolves last time out in the Gallant Bob. I just think that spot was too tough for him.
Yeah, well, obviously, he seemed like he was just in over his head last time. Yeah, I don't know. The sharpest Tecas, I guess the stats don't bear it out. I don't mind them on turf. But you're right, there's not a ton of grass in this pedigree. He's okay on dirt. He's just going to have to be way better on turf if he's going to win this race. And I just thought there were more interesting surface switchers than him.
The 4 is Run Carson, returning from Keeneland after running an allowance company last time out, and he got wired that day in a race where he just didn't get as forward as he likes to be in the early part of that race. Now, 2 back in the Mahoney at Saratoga, Run Carson ran just fine, but I wonder if he's a little bit dressed up by the way that race was run. He was right up close to the pace. He had every chance in the stretch, and couldn't you argue that Howard Wolowitz, the 4th place finisher, ran the best race?
Yeah, you could argue a bunch of horses ran better than the even maybe the 1, 2, and 3 finishers in that race, but that's just the way that that race happened to play out in there. And I don't want to take too much away from Run Carson because it's not like there were a bunch of killers in this field. He
Right.
obviously fits right in here. He was improving with every start leading up to that Mahoney, and he obviously ran well in that race. I personally would still rather have Works for Me out of that race than this horse because I thought he just ran a more interesting race there. This horse had a little bit of trouble on the backstretch last time. Still didn't think he did ran that well.
Twisted Filigree is a New York bred going out for George Weaver, who certainly knows what he's doing with the turf sprinters, and he's going to get blinkers for the first time in a while. Let's watch Twisted Filigree's most recent run. This is against a New York bred allowance field. This pace I thought was pretty fast, Mike, and Twisted Filigree is right up on it, and he had a look at it in mid-stretch, and almost as soon as he had a look at it, he kind of flattened out just a little bit.
Yeah, he did. I listen. It's not a terrible performance. It's not a great one either. And listen, the horse that you mentioned, the pace was fast, but the horse that wins the race was right up close the entire way too. So I don't know, man. This horse, it felt like he had potential before that really, really long layoff, and then you wanted to give him that first start back at Saratoga where he just missed, but he hasn't really gone forward in his 2 turf starts since then.
Barksdale is quick and should be part of the pace, and he's also unexposed as a turf sprinter. His one and only start on turf game going 2 turns, and while he didn't really have an excuse that day, he set a very reasonable pace. He was probably going too far against too much competition. The winner of that race is a real nice horse. Came back to run third in the Gun Runner at Kentucky Downs with an 86 buyer. He shows speed, and if the one speed doesn't translate to turf, maybe he could take this field a long way.
Yeah, I guess that's probably a fair way to look at it, Dan. I mean, at least he has a turf start. Was it a good performance or was it not? I don't know. I kind of feel like it wasn't. The pace wasn't fast. He's on the lead. He finishes last. I understand it was a good field. He just doesn't seem like a turf horse to me. He does have speed. I guess that could make him a little bit dangerous in here.
Pretty big step up in class for the 7 Typhoon Fury, who did earn a stakes placing last year going 2 turns at Aqueduct. He is coming into this race in good form, however, after winning a $40,000 non-winners of 2 life claimer. This pace was very, very fast. They went 22 for the opening quarter, 45 and 1. Typhoon Fury came from off the pace, and he's able to put him away in the final 16th of a mile. He's going to get pace here, but this is just a much tougher group.
Yeah, they're just going to step him way up in class off of this win and just kind of see what happens. It feels like it's probably not going to work out for them, Dan. It's not a super strong field. It's probably too tough for Typhoon Fury. He has sprinted on this turf course though 3 times at Aqueduct. He's won all 3 of those races. He got disqualified from one of them, but he won. He finished first all 3 times.
Live High, Live Low is the number 8, another horse going out for Weaver. And it's interesting they're running him here because most of his starts have been of the 2 turn variety. He hasn't run in a 1 turn sprint since his career debut. Now he's coming into this race in good form off a win at the Monmouth at the Meadowlands meet. I have to be honest. I hate horses that come out of wins at the Monmouth at the Meadowlands meet. I just think it's not a good meet. Usually you don't get good fields here. He did beat 2 next out winners.
Yeah, it's obviously a drawback that he does it with a new top figure over that course too. Listen, maybe he's just in really good form and he's going to cut back in distance for this race and I guess just sort of take a shot here. Again, it's not a strong field. This horse just ran the best race of his life for George Weaver, who does really good work with turf sprinters. I mean, if you want to look at him that way and take a price on him, I don't think I'd argue too hard just because this isn't that strong of a field. But I'm probably not betting this horse.
Smokey Smokey goes out for trainer Michael Maker. He won over course and distance 3 starts back in the Paradise Creek at Aqueduct, and that was just in a little bit too tough in the quick call 2 starts back against Star of Mystery, is one of the better turf sprinters in the country. Didn't break that great, found a good spot, just couldn't keep up with those horses in the stretch when trying to move up the rail. I'm not interested in the last race at Kentucky Downs. He didn't have to like that quirky surface. One of the also-rans in that race, Joe Shiesty, came back and actually beat one of these in his next start at Keeneland with a 94 buyer. I think he's a little bit underrated, this horse.
Yeah, he might be. I'm glad that you put it that way, Dan, because I really don't know what to make of this horse. More than anything else, I just think this is a great spot for him, and I do sort of view him as the horse to beat in here. If I'm being honest, the Paradise Creek just didn't really do a lot for me, and I know it got a good figure. I don't think that was a good field at all. He got a great trip in that race. He got the job done there at the end. I didn't like his quick call. I know it was a way better field than this one, but he had a great trip in that race, and to me, sort of proved there that he's not a top turf sprinter. He doesn't have to be to win this race. It's a good spot for him, but I don't want a short price on this horse.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Top pick time for our Friday race of the day, the Carle Place. Mike's going with Works for Me. Just fell far back last time out. Did come with a good run. Barnes having a great run.
Yeah, that's true. And I really did like his Mahoney. I think it's an underrated performance. And more than that, Dan, I like this spot for this horse. Either the 9 is just going to be too good for these horses and he's going to win this race, or I feel like the 2 has the best chance to beat it.
We have the same triple different order. Mike's going 2-9-4-1. I'll lead off with Smokey Smokey, but the point Mike made at the very end of the analysis with him is you got to find value. And I just don't want to bet this horse is the favorite, but I think the class drop really works for him. 9-4-2-8 for me. It's the Friday race of the day, and it's one of 2 stakes scheduled for turf at Belmont at the Big A on Friday. Good luck.
Hey friends, you look like you're in need of a winner. If you enjoyed the great content right here, just click and subscribe right here and enjoy the great DRF.com race of the days, the phenomenal stakes previews, and so much more. Many of that content featuring me and my exceptional selections. Trust me, you won't regret it.